Has this surprised you, how much the viewership has gravitated towards this woman? Like, people from all over the world are talking about her.
Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Get ready for an exciting journey because this story is anything but ordinary. Forget what you know about governance. This is more like a dramatic soap opera. We have tension, betrayal, courtroom showdowns, and yes, an actual arrest. We're exploring the chaotic saga of Dolton, Illinois Mayor Tiffany Henyard, whose time in office feels like a reality TV show. If you thought small-town politics were boring, think again. This tale has everything you could imagine and more.
Candidate being challenged, the saga surrounding embattled South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard.
Imagine a typical local government meeting, one of those routine gatherings where paperwork is signed, budgets are discussed, and maybe someone squabbles over a minor issue. But not in Dolton. This meeting took a surprising turn that no one expected. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, known for her bold personality and controversial style, burst into the trustee meeting like a star, making a grand entrance in a play's final act. She wasn't even supposed to be there, but when has that ever stopped her? The meeting, held at a local Park District building, was already tense, with residents filling the room, excited to see the latest episode in what had turned into a full-blown political circus. And then, Tiffany made her dramatic entrance, setting the stage for chaos.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for a...
Let's take a step back, because this wasn't just a random outburst. It had been building for months, even years. Since taking office, Mayor Henyard has made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Financial scandals, check. Federal investigations, double check. Allegations of mismanagement and targeting political rivals. You bet that's on the list too. As if that weren't enough, she's been accused of ignoring court orders, making questionable appointments, and clashing with nearly everyone around her. In short, Henyard has been running Dolton her way, and that has upset many people, including trustees, residents, and even the courts. Now, back to the meeting. The trustees, expecting a bigger crowd, moved the session to the Park District building. People weren't just there to see democracy in action, they were there for the drama, and Henyard never disappoints. Meanwhile, undeterred, the mayor decided to hold her own meeting at Village Hall, even though not enough trustees were present to proceed legally. When that plan fell through, she jumped in her car, drove to the Park District building, and barged into the trustee meeting. Her entrance was anything but subtle. Eyewitnesses said the atmosphere was electric, with tension so thick you could almost feel it. In a silent protest, residents turned their backs on Henyard as she entered, showing their disapproval. Then the fireworks began. Henyard stepped up to the microphone, declaring, "I am the mayor of the village of Dolton," as if to remind everyone who was in charge. But the crowd wasn't having it. Almost immediately, boos and shouts erupted, drowning out her voice with frustration. The chaos escalated, and while Henyard is no stranger to conflict, this time the backlash was overwhelming. She lasted just 7 minutes before being forced to leave, effectively booed out of her own meeting. But the drama didn't stop there. What happened next shocked even the most experienced political watchers. Reports began to emerge that Henyard, visibly furious over her public humiliation, allegedly got physical with one of the officials present. Yes, things escalated to the point where the police, stationed nearby in case trouble erupted, had to intervene. In a twist that felt more like a season finale than a real-life event, Mayor Tiffany Henyard was arrested. That's right. The sitting mayor of Dolton, Illinois, was taken into custody right there at the meeting. Residents watched in disbelief as Henyard was led away, leaving behind a room full of stunned witnesses and more questions than answers. But let's remember, this arrest didn't happen in isolation. It was the result of months of legal battles and growing tension between Henyard and the trustees. At the heart of the conflict was her insistence on making key appointments, like a new police chief, without the board's approval. This defiance led to a court order that prohibited her from making such decisions on her own. Did she listen? Of course not. Henyard's leadership style has always been my way or the highway, and this was no different. Her repeated disregard for the restraining order only added fuel to the fire, setting the stage for the explosive events that unfolded at the meeting.
It's about democracy and it's about hypocrisy.
I really think it's very hypocritical.
Then there's the financial side of things, which has been just as troubling. Henyard's administration has faced serious allegations of misusing public funds. From extravagant taxpayer-funded trips to questionable spending on events, her financial choices have raised major concerns. One particularly shocking revelation involved the village's general fund, which was found to have a negative balance in the millions of dollars. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot even conducted a limited review of Dalton's finances, revealing a staggering $40,000 spent on Amazon in just one day, with none of it accounted for. But that's not all. The FBI has subpoenaed Henyard's political committee and her now defunct burger business as part of an ongoing federal investigation. This financial mess has left residents asking one crucial question: where are their tax dollars going? Perhaps even more pressing is why their mayor seems more focused on consolidating power than tackling the town's growing crisis. It's a situation that raises serious doubts about Henyard's priorities and the future of Dalton.
And no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral.
But the financial controversies don't end there. Henyard's time in office has also been marked by extravagant spending on events that seem more focused on her personal branding than on benefiting the community. For example, there was a sparsely attended concert that reportedly cost over $85,000, money that could have been used to address Dalton's crumbling infrastructure or its growing public safety issues. Critics have pointed out that while Henyard appears eager to fund flashy events, basic services in the village have been neglected, leaving residents frustrated. These allegations only deepen the perception that Henyard's priorities lie in self-promotion rather than genuine governance. Adding fuel to the fire are the ongoing controversies surrounding a series of lavish trips taken on taxpayer dollars. Reports have emerged detailing stays in luxury hotels, expensive meals, and travel expenses that far exceed what most small-town mayors would consider appropriate. While Henyard's office has defended these trips as necessary for economic development and regional partnerships, no concrete benefits have been presented to justify the enormous costs. Residents have been vocal in their disapproval, with many calling for an independent audit to determine just how much of their money has been spent and whether any of it was misused. It's a situation that has left the community questioning both Henyard's leadership and her management of taxpayer funds.
We need some action. Somebody that's actually going to do their job. How about that? Somebody that's come in, work for the people, not themselves, and have pictures all.
And then there's the issue of Henyard's so-called cancer charity, which has raised even more eyebrows. Established in her name, the charity was shut down after failing to report how it spent its funds, leading many to question its legitimacy. While Henyard has claimed that the organization was created to help those in need, critics argue that the lack of transparency suggests otherwise. Combined with the federal investigations into her office and her personal financial dealings, the charity scandal has further eroded trust in her leadership. For many in Dalton, it's not just about one misstep. It's a pattern of behavior that raises serious questions about accountability. But Henyard isn't just facing criticism from the courts and the trustees. Many residents have had enough as well. One longtime Dalton resident summed it up perfectly, saying, "The real business isn't being done because of all this nonsense. We need someone who's actually going to work for the people, not themselves." Another resident, visibly frustrated by the ongoing drama, added, this city will be so glad when she's out of office and politics totally. This sentiment seems to be shared by many in the community who are desperate for a leader who prioritizes governance over theatrics. The call for change is growing louder, and it seems Henyard's grip on power is slipping with every passing day.
Take this serious. I think it's a big game to them, and they don't understand that the more confusion and the more back and forth that we do, no one suffers but the people.
Not everyone is against Henyard. She still has supporters who view her as a fighter standing up against entrenched interests. In one social media post, she called on her followers to stand with her, framing herself as a champion of the people. However, even some of her allies are beginning to question her leadership. One supporter commented, "It would have been wonderful to see Tiffany in handcuffs and placed in custody. Hopefully, we will see the feds come get her." This serves as a stark reminder that while Henyard may still have some backing, the tide is clearly turning against her. The growing frustration among residents, including some of her own supporters, signals that the public's patience is wearing thin. With the ongoing investigations and mounting scandals, it's becoming increasingly clear that Henyard's once solid support base is starting to fracture.
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard called.
What's next for Dalton's embattled mayor? Can she bounce back from this latest scandal, or is this the beginning of the end for Tiffany Henyard? With ongoing federal investigations, growing public dissent, and her arrest making headlines, the road ahead looks anything but smooth. One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. Dalton residents will head to the polls next year, and with challengers like trustee Jason House, Cassandra Hops, and Jordan already making waves, Henyard's re-election bid is shaping up to be an uphill battle. But what do you think? Do you believe Tiffany Henyard can turn things around, or is it time for Dalton to move on? With all the drama surrounding her tenure, what does this mean for the future of local politics in Dalton? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on this wild political saga. Trust us, this is one story you won't want to miss.